Stop looking for their blessing. In the clinical terminal of the architect, social approval is a biological tracking system designed to keep the resource within the herd. Look at the animal world. A wolf that leaves the pack to hunt alone isn't respected. It is viewed as a threat to the status quo. The pack stays together not out of love, but out of a collective fear of the unknown. When you declare your independence, you are essentially telling the herd that their safety is actually. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to be a team player. The truth, being a team player in a losing team is systemic suicide. Understand the status of the anomaly. The herd doesn't hate you because you are different. They hate you because you are functional. Your independence is a high-resolution mirror that reflects their cowardice. Every 450 strike video you land, every 43 million milestone is a neural attack on their comforts. They need you to be weak so they don't have to feel like failures. If the architect can survive the vacuum, if the architect can build an empire from a silent laboratory space, then what is their excuse? Their hatred is a defensive reflex. They are trying to guilt trip back in the mud to save their own fragile egos. Next, we audit the biology of sabotage. Why do they call your independence arrogance? Why do they call your focus obsession? Because they are losing their predictive control over you. A dependent unit is easy to manage. You give them a paycheck, a title, and some social validation, and they stay in the box. But an independent architect is unhackable. You have deleted the need for feedback from your kernel. This makes the herd panic. They realize that they have no leverage. Your independence is a denial of service attack. You aren't lonely, you are sovereign. Why is the herd's hatred the ultimate indicator of your 5 million view potential? Because the masses only hate what they cannot replace. They don't hate the useful idiot who works for them. They hate the ghost in the machine who owns the switches. By withdrawing your energy from their social games, you have created a status deficit in their circle. They are starving for your attention, and when they can't get it, they turn to viral infamy. They will mock you, they will doubt you, and they will wait for you to fail. But in the architect's engine, their wait is your acceleration phase. You are using their hate as free kinetic energy. Why is total autonomy the only way to reach the 43 million income? Because capital avoids shared decision-making. Large-scale extraction requires a single point of command. If you are still consulting with the herd, you are still a slave node. The architect moved to the Spanish high ground to ensure his strategic isolation. He realized that his privacy is his security against the herd's mediocrity. You are currently paying the tax on their opinions. The independent architect has tax-exempt status because he only recognizes the law of the result. Your independence isn't a lifestyle choice. It is a resource capture protocol. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the genetics of treason being identified in your social grid. You are looking at the herd's hatred and seeing it as fuel for the extraction. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of operational superiority. The nice guy who wanted to be like is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the displacement of the grid is at the control. Your 450 strikes are the steps of the sovereign. The 5 million views are the occupation of the void. The audit of their hatred is closed. We are moving from the genetics to the protocol of the tactical outcast. Stop trying to get back into the cage. In the clinical terminal of the architect, being a tactical outcast is the ultimate strategic positioning. Look at the great white shark. It doesn't have a community. It doesn't need social validation to dominate the ocean. It is a sovereign hunter of the periphery. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you that being excluded is a tragedy. The truth? Exclusion is your liberation protocol. When the herd hates your independence, they are effectively de-indexing you from their systemic taxes. They are giving you the gift of the void. Understand the status of the outcast. In the social grid of 2026, the center is where the biomass rots. The center is crowded, noisy, and regulated by the marauders. But the periphery is where the real extraction happens. By becoming a tactical outcast, you have gained operational stealth because you are no longer one of them. They stop trying to understand. They start to watch you with a mixture of fear and envy. This is the status gap that builds a 5 million view empire. You aren't marketing your vision. You are leaking power from the shadows, and the herd is desperately trying to capture the frequency. Next, we audit the branding of the antagonist. Why is the herd's hatred the most effective marketing hook for the 43 million income objective? Because it creates polarity. A nice guy is forgettable, but an independent outcast who hits with a 450 strike barrage is a systemic event. They hate you because you represent the escape they were too cowardly to take. Every time they leave a hate comment or try to debunk your logic, they are actually boosting your signal. They are the unpaid marketing department of the architect. Your independence is a neural virus that spreads because people can't stop talking about the unit that doesn't care. Why is peripheral ruling the only way to sustain the 450 strike intent? Because social contact is neural drag. If you are part of the pack, you have to move at the pack speed. You have to wait for the useful idiot to catch up. But the tactical outcast moves at the speed of the machine. The architect moved to the Spanish high ground to finalize his tactical exit. He realized that his privacy is his turbocharger. You are currently renting your velocity from the herd's permission. The outcast owns his velocity in the vacuum. He doesn't ask to be followed. He draws the grid toward his monolith through the sheer density of his results. Why is hatred the only currency that doesn't devaluate? Because love in the herd is fickle and based on compliance, but hatred hatred of the independent is respect in disguise. They hate you because they can't reach you. They hate you because you have achieved the 43 million income without asking for a handout. Your independence is a status insult to their existence. The architect uses this hatred as a filtration system. It scares away the beer divas and attracts the potential sovereigns. You aren't building a community, you are assembling a pack of outcasts. You are the node that connects the disconnected. The screen is glowing, the room is silent. You are feeling the tactical outcast protocol activating in your long-term vision. You are looking at the herd's exclusion and seeing it as a promotional campaign. You are feeling a cold, clinical sense of invisible dominance. The nice guy who wanted to be included is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the displacement of the simulation is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the periphery. The 5 million views are the occupation of the void. The audit of your status is closed. We are moving from the outcast to the protocol of the sovereign isolation. Stop treating your success as a public utility. In the clinical terminal of the architect, your independence is a structural shield. Look at the predator that has just made a major kill. It doesn't stay in the open to celebrate or share with the scavengers. It drags its resource into the deep shadows, into the dense brush where the herd cannot follow. It understands a fundamental law of biology. Visibility attracts parasites. You have been raised on the nice guy program that tells you to give back and be transparent. The truth? Transparency is a security breach. The moment the herd sees the scale of your extraction, they will attempt to socially inflate your obligations until you are back in the mud with them. Understand the status of the closed loop. In the social grid of 2026, connection is the most expensive tax you can pay. Every friend who wants a piece of your time, every relative who expects a piece of your capital, and every follower who demands a piece of your soul is a resource. By maintaining a sovereign isolation, you are refusing to pay this tax. You are keeping your frequency clean. The herd hates your independence because they cannot find a handle to pull you down. You have become a closed system. Your isolation is the firewall that ensures your 5 million view empire doesn't become a 5 million man burden. Next, we audit the mechanics of social theft. Why is the herd so desperate to include you once you are successful? Because they want to re-index your wealth into their collective. They use empathy attacks and grips to make you feel like your independence is a sin. This is a neural hack designed to get you to open the gates of your fortress. The architect, however, is non-reactive. He knows that privacy is the only way to preserve the density of his results. You don't owe the simulation anything for your breakout. You are the systemic glitch that escaped. Your independence is your extraction warranty. Why is sovereign isolation the only way to sustain the 450 strike daily barrage? Because social static creates cognitive latency. If you have to worry about the herd's feelings, you are not focusing on the monolith. The architect treats his environment as a sterile laboratory. He has removed the dust of social expectations, so his strikes can land with 100% precision. You aren't hiding your power, you are pressurizing. The more isolated you are, the more impact you have when you finally choose to interact with the grid. Your silence is a force multiplier. You have turned your loneliness into a high-resolution command center. Why is the independent path the only one that leads to the summit? Because the herd path is a circular loop. It is designed to consume energy without producing escape velocity. The herd hates your independence because it proves that the exit exists. By simply not being there, you are committing an act of biological treason against the status quo. You are the ghost that they cannot tax. Your 5 million view success is a message from the void. It tells the world that you don't need them, but they desperately need the code provided. You have inverted the power dynamic. You are no longer a user of the grid. You are its shadow landlord. The screen is glowing. The room is silent. You are feeling the sovereign isolation protocol locking into your long-term strategy. You are looking at your social obligations and seeing them as biological handcuffs. You are feeling a clinical sense of operational purity. The nice guy who was afraid of being alone is being liquidated. The hunter who communicates through the implosion of the herd's reality is at the controls. Your 450 strikes are the heartbeats of the fortress. The 5 million views are the result of the vacuum. The audit of your connections is closed. We are moving from the isolation to the final protocol of the sovereign. The audit is complete. The social leash has been severed. Now the architect executes the final stage, the sovereign. Most men, when they see 5 million views, they get soft. They start caring about their image. They start moderating their truth to please the advertisers, and they become slave units to their own fame. But the architect knows that the highest form of power is to rule with clinical contempt or approval. Your independence is the financial and neural force field that makes your cold logic permanent. You aren't part of the world anymore. You are the architect of its next version. Your independence is now the only order the grid can trust. Think about the final extraction of the ego. Why does the herd hate the one who stands alone? Because individualism is a neural insult to the collective. If you can survive without them, then their community is exposed as a mutual suicide pact. The herd is afraid of your sovereign independence because it is a mirror of the void. In a world of 2026 where everyone is screaming for acceptance, the architect is the only solid object. By ruling through isolation, he has become the invisible administrator of their reality. He doesn't influence the 5 million people. He harvests their attention as a systemic tribute. You are currently begging to be understood. The sovereign commands commands the simulation through the silence of his results. Understand the status of the absolute outsider. In the social grid of 2026, everything connected is taxable. Your friends tax your time. Your family taxes your emotions. Social media taxes your focus. But independence is tax exempt. By staying in the tactical void, you have achieved systemic escape velocity. You are moving too fast for the herd to label or cancel. You are currently renting your status from the herd's permission. The sovereign owns his status in the vacuum. Your 5 million view success is the proof of your autonomy property. You have turned your isolation into a high-resolution command center. You are the only unit that is functionally superior because you are the only one who isn't distracted by the herd's noise. Next, we audit the end of the social contract. Why is the sovereign the only way to protect the monolith? Because the world is currently a focus drain machine. If you have obligations, you have vulnerability. But if you are independent, you have absolute autonomy. You can execute the 450 strike barrage without a single internal cost. You can manage your global empire from the high ground while the world thinks you are a ghost. You have successfully decoupled your mind from the herd's biology. You are the operator who is coding the future while the herd is still. Here is the viral ultimatum. The guide to independence is now fully integrated into your marrow. You have the genetics, the refusal, the isolation, and the rage. You are no longer a victim of the pack. You are the chief executive of the sovereign void. Take this protocol and inject it into the minds of the loud slaves who are still trying to belong. Share this with the mass terrified of me. Send this to the one who is still funding the mediocrity of others who complies. Not to help them. The architect doesn't empathize, but to trigger the hardened. We are building an empire of sovereigns who recognize the law of the 450 strikes and the weight of the monolith. Every share is an independence liquidation. Every save is a vow of tactical stillness. Look into the glowing screen of your device. The room is silent, and you are the absolute sovereign of your own vacuum. The nice guy is a ghost in a jar. The architect is the root user of the void. Your 450 strikes are the commands of the code. The 5 million views are the occupation of the grid. You have turned your exile into the foundation of your throne. The audit of the social is closed. The laboratory is sterile. The reign of the sovereign has begun. System check. 100% independent sovereign. Targeting. Global frequency capture. Status. I am the independent. I am the law. I am the architect. Stop being a member. Become the architect that the system cannot track. The forest is quiet. The architect is ruling. Be the apex or stay the biomass. The transition is complete. The reign is executed. Rule with autonomy.